Hi, Weather Joey here with your bottom of the South Island weather recap and forecast for Saturday, November 5th, 2022. So it's been a long time since the last forecast and weather recap, so we got a lot to go over. Check the old records. Hope the old records are still there so you guys can see this. If not, take my word for it. But yeah, before we get into all that, I'm going to try to do it without my notes because it's almost 2 weeks. But before we do, I'd like to take this opportunity, as always, to thank and acknowledge the first peoples of this land, the First Nations from North Saanich out to Sooke and beyond across this amazing land for allowing us to live, work, play, and witness the changing of the seasons and being a part of this land. Thank you very much. Okay, so yeah, if you look back at the last forecast, we did talk about in the future a steady stream of storms fueled by low pressure up in the upper Gulf of Alaska. We were looking at a steady stream of storms coming in from kind of the west northwest and quite cool, bringing bringing snow to the Alpine. Well, that indeed did happen. So we finished up we had a little one go through the first rain after summer ended, October 19th, somewhere around there. So we had a little one go through Friday the 21st. Yeah. And then it really started to pour on by the 23rd, that forecast day. We had one come through overnight into the 23rd, into the 24th. Another one come through on the 25th. Another one come through, I think, on the 26th, 27th. So Friday was the 28th. Yes. Anyway, if you notice with all those, plenty of rain for the lower mainland, parts of the island. But the East Island doesn't get so much. So notice that in the future on the records that they don't really get as much rain from that direction. Most of their rain, they get the higher rainfalls when you get these systems coming in from the west, southwest, southwest, and really drawing a lot of southeast wind up the Strait of Georgia, so keep that in mind. Snow did fall in the Alpine, so we're starting to collect snow up there. And this is really what's been dominating. So we had those three storms. By the time we got into the 28th, 29th, we still had low pressure. It was bringing a westerly flow across. Now, I believe the 28th and the 29th stayed fairly dry, kind of a mix of sun and cloud. I don't even think there were showers if I look back on it or if I can remember. However, I'm just going to go back to my notes here. 28th, 29th. Low pressure continues to dominate in the Gulf of Alaska for the 28th. We see a westerly flow bringing a mix of sun and cloud. This flow remains dry through the 29th. However, an east-west frontal line. Yes. So this low pressure up here really brought an east-west frontal line on the 29th that was hitting the Central Coast, the North Island, and this whole frontal line, what they're calling an atmospheric river these days, is it started to creep down into the 30th, overnight into the 30th, and so we got a lot of rain basically from the west on the 30th, and that went right into the morning of the 31st, Halloween. So that was a slow-moving front moving across, but as it did, drenching the coast quite thoroughly. Now, that came through on Halloween, and that's the end of October, and it brought an otherwise record dry October. It brought about 75%. Oh, my hair's getting in my eyes. 75% of October's average rainfall just in those last 10 days. So we started to pick back up, storms coming through. It was a switch. We're basically in a two-season system now where we got dry season, wet season, dry season, wet season. Anyway, they seem to transition pretty quickly these days. So yeah, after this front passed through, we saw this low pressure start to drop down the coast. It brought with it still a little bit of a westerly flow as it dropped down, and it filled as it dropped down. A little bit of westerly flow, mix of sun and clouds. As it passed by, we saw a little bit of high pressure build in, I believe, on where are we now? Let me go back to my notes. That's a lot to remember. Westerly flow finished up October, eased into November as low pressure in the upper Gulf of Alaska started to fill as it tracked down the coast and over the south coast, lingering as an upper trough into the second. It starts with a mix of sun and cloud at first, and then on the first, and then clears out nicely for the second as weak surface high pressure builds in. Cool air pushes down into BC, but not quite to the coast. Meanwhile, new low pressure moves into the upper Gulf of Alaska, sending yet another front down the coast on the third. Yes. So, as we said, this came down. There was some cold air in here as this went by. Didn't quite make it to the coast, but it cooled things down. And then we got another low with another river of rain moving down the coast. And that hit us, let's see. Friday was the 3rd. No, Thursday was the 3rd. Yeah, so it arrived on the 3rd with another river of west to east rain. Check the records because the lower mainland got 2 inches of rain. Continued overnight into the 4th as it slowly crossed the coast. Now we're into the 5th. Let me remind myself of the forecast. Yes. Okay. That front has gone through. So today, this is what I said. So today we're seeing, so similar sort of thing. That river of rain again, though it was much stronger, brought 2 inches of rain to the lower mainland. But if you look at the east coast again from the west, they don't get, east coast of the island, they don't get as much rain. Anyway, the low that brought this front through, that front's gone through. This is slowly making its way down the coast. So we got it today, a mix of sun and cloud from the west, which is today's the 5th, Saturday the 5th. Now this low is a little bit stronger. It's going to go and sit down over top of the coast, pass over the coast tomorrow, which is the 6th. And then into Monday the 7th, it'll still be moving through. And what we're going to have here is there's still some moisture around. And we may see some showers overnight into the 6th. And then as this low starts to draw all this cold air from the interior of BC, this is much cooler air now than the past system. And it's getting drawn down. It's also pushing down. So we may see on November 6th, the evening into November 7th, the Monday, and that's for all you out there, such a quick transition, like a 2-week transition from summer to winter, because you're looking at the potential of snow, particularly on the South Island. As this low goes by, air comes down, across the coast here, hitting that side, east side of the island and the lower island. So we'll be watching for that down around here. That carries us into Monday the 7th. As we get into Tuesday, this low moves on and we're looking at cool, crisp air, clear, winter outflow winds out of the northeast, and that's really going to be dry air, cool, and a real first blast of winter there. So amazing how it really switches. It's like on and off button. We're either getting high pressure from down here that's really heating things up, or we're getting air coming from here. And that's been the case for the past few years. It seems like a real, as opposed to the straight westerly flow that gives us consistent sort of stuff. Anyway, yeah, so how long will that cool air be with us? It looks like it's going to be hanging around for your coolness out there for Monday to Tuesday to Wednesday, maybe even Thursday, slowly starting to warm up as it backs off and we see some more storm activity start to try to push up from the southwest, warming things up a little bit. Looks like a little low will kind of spin by here. Stay to the south, hopefully, don't have to worry about it too much, and keep us dry. But things potentially down the road, this may move on, we may get a southwesterly flow, warming things up a little bit in a week or so. Anyway, my friends out there, hope that helps you out. I am thinking about you and wondering what is going on in the future for you guys. The United States is having midterms elections this Tuesday the 8th, so stuff seems pretty intense down there. Anyway, hope that helps out, and as always, my friends, may the forecast be with you.